Hey guys, and welcome to another video. So lots and lots of people have been asking how I'm revising. I think partly because, you know, they just want to know, but also because they're like, what did you do last year that you regret doing? And yeah, so I thought it would be useful to kind of share what I'm doing. I won't lie, none of it is like mind-blowing or nothing particularly new. It's kind of just tried and tested routines. But yeah, hopefully this will help you guys. So my main things, generally speaking, for revision, two things: prepare yourself and prioritize things well. These are two things that I think I didn't really do enough of last year. Firstly, preparing yourself. Hopefully now, you know, you've got about 2 months till your exams start. You've kind of given yourself some like revision practice over the year, so it's not like you have to like cram last minute. And just generally prepare yourself, you know, do the work, do the past papers, make any notes if you need to, flashcards, that kind of thing. Just prepare yourself that when it comes to exams, you are ready. And secondly, prioritize. This is something I remember last year. I think I let certain like events or certain things, I'll be like, oh, I need to do that, I need to do this, which is great, but I kind of just lost focus on what I needed to focus on. And so really just kind of remember, what is your main priority, what is your aim, and just focus on that. However, saying that, don't feel like you need to just revise 24/7. That's not healthy. But you know, don't just remember what you need to do and just do it, kind of thing. But yeah, so in terms of maths, how am I revising? I've got a tutor this year, which I didn't have last year. I see him about an hour each week since January, and it's been really helpful. I think generally speaking, with a tutor, I feel like when you're paying someone to teach you, you feel like you have to be on top of your game because you're spending money, and so you're more likely to do work at home, and that's definitely something I found this year. And maths is something that part of it is revising, but a part of it, I won't lie, is learning. I think what happened last year with maths with me is that, for example, C3 and C4, anyone who's done maths A level will know the jump between AS to A2 is pretty big. And I think I really struggled with C3 during year 13, and what happened was I wouldn't be able to learn a topic, then the new topic would come and I wouldn't learn that new one. And then it came to the end of like C3 and I'll be like, I don't know half of this content. And so my main thing is really, if you're in year 12, is really making sure you thoroughly know your topics. But generally how I'm revising this time around is I would be like, so I tackled like a topic at a time, and like complemented with that with like some past paper questions, so I know the kind of style of things. But generally I find with maths, I do MEI if anyone's wondering, they're kind of questions, like the layout is very similar. You'll have one question on this, one on this, one on this. It's just like the numbers and things that are, and like how it's worded could be different. So generally it's just kind of practice. And it is ridiculous when I think last year, generally in maths I did quite good. It was just C3 and C4 that it was like drastically lower than my others. And it's ridiculous. I was something like 12 UMS off an A last year, which I can easily get this year. I think it's easily done because I did so badly on C3 last year even. And so, you know, that can easily be done, but I'm hoping to get an A-star this year. So it's like pushing it to, you know, the next limit. I really need to get high marks for C3, C4. And then S2 is one that I did last year, and I did like quite well in, but I just want to make it better for my like UMS. But yeah, so that's kind of how it's been with maths. It's just an idea of doing it by topics and then past papers. But I'm really actually happy with how maths is going. I think I used to find C3 last year was the worst thing in the world. I cried over it. I hated it so much. And it's got to the point this year, I would happily do a C3 paper over anything, which is so strange. And I think it is just generally the idea I feel more comfortable with it because I've spent probably at least 20 hours working on it. And I just feel a lot more comfortable and confident in it. And yeah, it's a lot better. In terms of any resources, Exam Solutions is my #1. They are brilliant. They have loads of videos, loads of questions. Only thing is, it isn't like most of it is Edexcel, so it's not particularly my exam board. However, generally speaking, the techniques are there, and it's really good to I like to do at least like 10 hours at home. and then go to my tutor, and then so it just really, I'm building on it myself, and it's yeah, that's kind of how I'm revising. I think that would hopefully help you guys. Also, if you have a maths textbook, use that as well. You have all your questions which are related to your exam board, hopefully, and just, yeah, keep on practicing. In terms of chemistry, I have a tutor again this year. Didn't have one last year. My tutor's really great. It's going so much better. There are moments where I'm like, we're doing like proper like past paper packs, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I actually got like a good mark, which I didn't think I'd get last year. Last year I got like a solid B. I'm hoping for an A this year, so you know there's a fair amount of work needed to be done. The main ways I am revising, so I kind of went through AS, went through A2. I used textbook to kind of revise a bit, but mainly went on to kind of questions. I find with a lot of chemistry, so much of it is definitions and like keywords and making sure you've got that. But also you have that really kind of heavy on calculations, which can so be hit or miss. I personally find that acid base, buffer, all of those kind of questions can be quite tricky. So it's really about kind of being self-disciplined and being like, acknowledge whichever part or topic you find tricky and focus on it. I'm totally guilty. I'm one of those people who are like, I found this easiest, I'm going to do more of that to make myself feel better. Don't do that. You know, you're not really going to help yourself at all. Focus on the thing that you find hardest. And yeah, that's the way I'm kind of doing it, and I'm just focusing on those topics. And similar to last year, I think it's just about putting that time in. For example, transition metals, I hated them last year. I think just because there was so much, and it was quite late on in the year, and especially all those equations for substitutions, I just never properly learnt it because I was like, oh, that's so much to remember. And I don't know why I just never sat down and gave myself an hour to learn it. This time round, I properly like learnt it, and I feel like that's something that's really important. If you remember, like just by memorizing something, there's only so much you're gonna like be able to do and remember in the exam. However, if you properly try and understand it and properly learn it, you're more likely to actually remember it in an exam. That's something I found so true. For example, transition metals, I've properly kind of sat down, been like, oh, that goes to that because of that, and when I'm doing past papers, I know how to answer the questions because it's not a case of what did the paper say. So yeah, that's something that I find really useful. And then finally for biology, how's bio? I don't have a tutor yet, I'm getting one. Mainly the reason why it's so late is because there are hardly any bio tutors where I live. And I think part of me felt quite like laid back with bio just because I was 6 marks off 3, you know, and that's over 3 papers last year, off an 8, which is so close. And so this time around I was like, oh yeah, it'll be okay. However, I'm still getting a tutor because I'm like, I would rather get one than not get one. Similar kind of things, going over topics. Bio is more of a case of revision, and especially keywords. Mostly bio is keywords. And I feel like once you know your keywords, that's probably like 50% of the paper done. The other half is the annoying application and those calculations, which is so dodgy. But yeah, I also find with bio is that using the spec is so useful. I always have it kind of side by side every time I finish a topic, going over it. Do I know everything? Because there are so many topics which, like the small like 1 sentence things where they seem so irrelevant, but watch how AQA make a massive 6 marker on it, like it just happens. And so yeah, definitely look at the spec as you go along. And generally speaking, I find with all 3 subjects, when I'm marking it, I'm so critical. I try not to be like, oh, an examiner's going to nice me there, and that's basically correct. I'm trying to be a lot more strict on myself. You know, that's just how you should be, I think, just because, you know, the reality is you could just have someone who's really mean and doesn't care and just... but yeah, that's how I'm pretty much revising. And yeah, like I said earlier, I don't really do timetables. I kind of just do like a list of things I want to be finishing this paper today, this topic, and work at it like that. Roughly I kind of do about 5 to 6 hours every day. Remember, I didn't go to school this year, so I had more time on my hands. And an app I definitely recommend, it's called Forest, and it's basically like a timer on your phone. And so, for example, I'll be like, okay, I'm going to do maths for 2 hours, set it for 2 hours, and it's like growing a tree. And anytime, say, I get tired, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore, then I'll go on my phone, it's like, you've only got 20 minutes left, come on. And then I'm like, okay. And I really like it how it's kind of, it tells you at the end of the day how much time you've done, end of the week how much you've done, and you just feel a lot more productive. And I feel like because of that I work more, because I'm like, I want to beat last week's time. And yeah, that's a really good app. And generally kind of my setting, I don't actually revise in this room. The main reason I like put this all like decorated all is because I could revise, but I found, especially at the start of this year, it was so cold in here, and it's quite a small area. I quite like being able to feel a bit more relaxed, and so I usually work downstairs in my kitchen, and I work at like 10 PM to like 3 AM kind of time. That's like my time, and I know that's late. I personally find it, I work better at late times, and like I can stay up, and I'm not a morning person at all. And yeah, I usually just have like a few snacks. For example, yesterday I made some almond biscuits, and I'm probably going to make some granola bars tomorrow. Just the kind of food that is prepared, it's ready, and I can make it in bulk. And yeah, that's pretty much how I've been doing. I hope that helps. I know it's nothing particularly new, but it is just generally how I am revising this year. If you guys have any tips, let me know, comment it down below. And I hope you enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to The Student Room and my own channel, Manisha P. And my Twitter and my Instagram is @_Manisha P. Okay guys, hope your revision is going well, hope you're doing good, and I shall see you sometime soon. Bye!